see you're finally awake.
Those who stood and fought upon this hallowed ground were volunteers, motivated by a sense of duty and a fervent passion to see Anglo-Saxon governance restored. Undeniable.
What is up, fellas, and welcome to another episode of PolitiGoob with me, the Goob. This is most likely going to be my final episode of PolitiGoob. I've spent the last 9 months or whatever it's been explaining, that the state that the nation is in, the threats that we're facing. If you don't understand that this is an act of genocide by now, I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you. I've been giving actionable things that you as an individual can do. I've been talking extensively from the people with the lowest possible risk tolerance to the people with the most risk tolerance, and given a whole range of activities that you can participate in to help try and right this country. I have a sneaking suspicion that most of you, if not all of you, but probably most of you, haven't actually done those things. Haven't actually, tried to incorporate these things into your daily life. And I can understand why, right? One of the things that I've been promoting for this whole time is to find your allies, right? And all of these things can be difficult. Trying to confront someone when you're not used to confrontation, trying to, even just trying to adjust your consumer habits to avoid foreigners in business and all of that. These things can be intimidating, they can be difficult. But all of those things become much more easy and much more effective, especially much more effective, when you start doing these things as a group. And so that is my final message, is that you must be organizing. It is absolutely time to unite and organize. If you do not have 25 men that you can call up and get organized for a cause, what are you doing? That needs to be the number one priority that you need to be focused on. You need to find your allies. You need people that you can stand shoulder to shoulder with and push a cause, right? Everyone is waiting for the Great Awakening, right? Everyone's waiting for the moment when shit pops off. Everyone's waiting for that revolution to happen, but that's not how revolutions happen. They happen with you, and they happen by getting organized, by getting a group of men together. That is the first step, is getting a group of men together, right? So you must be organizing. I don't know about you guys, But as a kid, I spent so much time. I was a big reader, right? I was a big reader, and so I'm reading about all of these heroes, all these stories. And I spent so much time lamenting the fact that I was born in the time that I was, that I didn't have this opportunity for this great hero's journey. We live in the age of heroes. We are living in a time where our actions will determine the future for the white race, for our children, for the entire world. We live in possibly the greatest era for heroes to have ever existed. Every single, one of these stories, the Greek stories, the Roman stories, the heroes are tested. There's obstacles every step of the way. Right? It's not easy. It's not a fight that they wait around for everyone else to take action. They meet the obstacles and they overcome them. But what have we all collectively been doing? We're sitting around waiting for things to kick off. We're not organizing. I know some of us are, and congratulations to you. Sincerely, you are doing what needs to be done. If you are part of a group, if you do have 25 men you can call up, good job. Now start calling them up and start doing things, right? But you're leagues above most people if you do have that group already. But we are in a time where our actions will define the future of the world. We are in a time where we are being tested. The obstacles are in our path, and it is up to us to now overcome them. I mentioned Washington like a couple weeks ago, and I made the point that while, he's the founder of America or whatever, like there were many heroes in that era. Throughout all of American history. There's not going to be like one great person that saves us. It is up to us to save ourselves. It is up to us to become those heroes. To make the country that we want, to impose our will upon the world. And again, can you do that as an individual? Sure, if you are a strong individual, you can impose your will around yourself, by yourself, to some degree. But you need a group of men. That should be your only focus right now. If you do not have a group of men, that's such an actionable thing, right? It's like, go find people that agree with you. That is something that you can be working on. There's groups like Patriot Front. I'm a big advocate for Patriot Front. I think it's probably currently the best group we have, but it's far from the only group. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these groups across the country. You don't have to join Patriot Front, although I recommend it. You can join any of these. And if none of these groups, which would be ridiculous, but if none of these groups somehow meet your standards, then start your own. And I mean that very sincerely. Go find your allies, find your friends, start going and seeking these people out. Go to gyms, like combat gyms. That's a decent place, it seems, to find people. Go to events, if you have left-wing events in your city, go find the people that are out there trying to counter that. Go link up with them. Don't let them be alone anymore. Don't remain alone on your own anymore. Get a group. Organize. There are many different problems that we face, and we need many different solutions to overcome them, right? Whether you are someone who wants to run for local politics and try and do as much as you can from there, if you are someone who, isn't cut out for the real world conflict and you are just doing FOIA requests and showing up to town councils, if you're out there confronting the troons and the invaders in the streets, whatever it is you're doing, all of them become infinitely more effective when they're done in a group. And there are so many, millions and millions of young men in this country who are disaffected, who are desperate to do something and waiting for someone to do something, not realizing that they are the ones. Help them realize. Find your allies. Motivate them. Organize them. Get them out doing whatever they can do. Again, it doesn't all have to be marching in the streets. There's many different paths that can be taken. But regardless of which path you're taking, you need a group. You need allies. Yeah, I mean, it really is that simple. And there's this numbness. I've been trying to talk about this a few times, and I've been struggling to really capture the essence of it. But I think going back to, when I was a kid, I felt things very intensely. I had a very strong sense of justice. I did yearn for that hero's journey. I yearned for those challenges. And now when they're in front of me today, why do I shirk and shrink away from them? Why have we all done this? And it's because I've described how we are all mentally insane, because to live in this world you kind of have to be. I can only speak for myself here, but I have spent most of my adult life trying to numb myself, because we do live in such an insane world. We live in a world where, a judge can tell a father that if you don't chop your son's balls off, we're going to put you in jail. We're going to take your son away from you and put you in jail. That is a level of evil and insanity where, in a sane world, that father or some other good man would kill that judge, would kill the mother, would kill every single person involved in an evil like that. But we have created a world where everything is bureaucratized. Everything is so distant, right? If someone came up to you on the street and demanded half of everything you own, you would reasonably respond with, well, no, I'll just kill you. I'm not going to allow you to steal half of everything I own. Yet that happens every day through our government, and that money is given to invaders who want you dead and to rape your children. We live in a world where if you were to actually acknowledge the evil and have a sane emotional response, you would be driven insane, right? You would be living in a constant state of extreme emotional distress, or going postal every day, right? But we have suppressed that because we watch that father go through that courtroom, and we watch as he does nothing, and no one else does anything either. And it's a big country, so what are you going to do if you're in, the East Coast and this is happening on the West Coast? Are you gonna? That is kind of insane to drive all the way over there to go kill a judge or something like that. Like, that's right. But we see these events happen, and we see nothing being done about it. We see these insane passive responses, and it fucks with you. It really has an impact on you. And the only way to really survive and get through it all is to just numb yourself to it, is to not actually feel it, to not actually acknowledge how horrific it is. We have to stop doing that. The heroes from the stories didn't witness these horrors and go, not my problem. I'm not going to do anything about it. Well, sure, all of these horrible things have happened to me, but it was done by, a company or the state or whatever, so I'll just sit there and take it. That's not how the heroes react, right? That's an insane reaction. But that has been our collective reaction. We must stop numbing ourselves. We have to start engaging in the world. I really do. I've been recommending getting offline from episode 1, right? It is being online and seeing all of these things. It makes actually engaging with reality in a serious way much more difficult for all the reasons I just described. And so I highly recommend getting offline, dealing in the real world, living in the real world. In the real world, right, you can confront these local issues. If you're not so overwhelmed from the internet and the news and all of this, you should already understand what's going on, right? Like, you shouldn't need a constant feed of child rape and Shiloh Hendricks getting convicted for, saying nigger and all of these things to, like, continue convincing you that we are in a genocide, that things are as fucked as they are. Like, you, by now, I pray and I hope that you understand that things are already fucked beyond all recognition, and things only move in one direction. This will only get worse until men rise up to stop it, right? So you don't need that feed of insanity constantly. You already know what's going on. So disengage with it. It's not healthy. It is not productive. It is, I truly believe it is essentially impossible to engage with that constantly and not be numb and actually have, like, real human reactions to things, right? So disengage, get offline, get into the real world, find your allies, organize and unite. And then once you have your allies, start confronting things. Again, there's a million different ways you can do that. But it is beyond time to start doing this. There is no excuse from anyone as to why you can't actively be seeking allies. And I think that is what this show is going to become. I think I am going to make this a call-in show again. I will encourage people to call in, and you can either share your progress in this journey if you want to. Don't incriminate yourself, obviously. Don't dox yourself, obviously. But if you want to share, Fellas, have I been muted this entire fucking time? I don't know if I just realized I had some of my audio off. No one said anything, so I'm going to assume I haven't been muted this whole time. That would be insane for you guys to sit there and listen to me for 20 minutes if I was muted without saying anything. But my audience has done that before, so really hope you guys all heard that. I was just talking about, though, how there's no excuse for anyone to not be organizing, to not be applying for Patriot Front or seeking out other groups. And so I think that's what I want to help people with. If you have not taken action on any of the things that I've been suggesting, if you have not incorporated any of these things into your life, if you have not found an organization, call in. I will help find an organization for you live. We'll do it live. We'll get your application sent in, because this is the only thing that fucking matters. Like, talking about the 10, not even 10,000 is a gross underestimation. Talking about the 500,000th invader rape of a white child, you're not really accomplishing much anymore. From the beginning of the show, my only focus has been reaching the people who are reachable. I've been complaining about the division in infighting, and it is a difficult realization, but I am realizing that there is the people who have been, like, actively and openly nationalist online for years, unfortunately seem to be one of the groups of people who is the least likely to ever actually do anything in real life. And I realize this doesn't apply to everyone. There obviously are those of you who are taking action, and I applaud you. If you're going out there posting up stickers, confronting people, whatever, that's beautiful. I applaud you. But there is a significant portion of this online right-wing nationalist cohort that is, and I think this goes back to what I was talking about with the numbness. Like, they have been living in this state for so long that it's driven them insane. It's broken their brain. And so they dedicate all of their time to attacking anybody who actually does take action, who actually does organize. And those people should be the most prone to taking action and organizing, yet they put all of their effort into attacking anyone who does instead of attacking their enemies, because they have been cooked by being, online and seeing reality for what it is for longer than most people. And it's broken a lot of them. And so I'm not even going to complain about them anymore. I think they're unreachable. I think they're one of the most unreachable groups we have, which is a shame. But they don't matter. The only people that matter are the people who do understand and are willing to take action and who are going to organize and unite and do so as a group and change the face of this country. So with my little speech out of the way, I hope I do get some calls next week and can help some people. Let's go ahead and take a look. Just continue talking about the same stuff, but with some funny Jake Lang stuff. Hold on. I'm messing up my display here. I know a lot of people hate Jake Lang. There is something strange about Jake. Jake is a strange guy. I like him though. I like him a lot. And I think these little clips are very funny here. Here is Jake Lang doing a Sieg Heil in Plymouth, Massachusetts. I don't know. I don't understand the hate for him. He is strange, but he's entertaining, and all of his actions I agree with. Like I certainly support his actions. He's hosting a nigger march for Shiloh. Shiloh, of course, was convicted, and how many men would have had to be standing outside of that courthouse to change that outcome? No one should be surprised by that outcome, by the way. Again, you should understand what's going on. Absolutely no one should be surprised by this. But how many men would have had to be outside of that courthouse in order for this to not happen? Because it's certainly more than one, right? One person one Jake Lang. That's one of the things that's strange about Jake, and part of it might not be his fault because no one wants to work with him, no one wants to organize with him, but he is always just like alone. He's always by himself. And even if it wasn't Jake, even if it was someone else, right, there's an element of ridiculousness to that because you are all alone. You're shouting about these things. It comes off kind of as silly and crazy, kooky, whatever descriptor you want to give, but there is an element of like, this isn't serious. This person isn't serious. The movement isn't serious. You get a group of men together, that's no longer the vibes, right? Now all of a sudden, it is something that's serious. It is something that you can't just, oh, look at that whack job. You go, well, wait, why? Something is going on here. If there's a group of men that are, motivated enough to actually organize and get out there and cause a scene, like, maybe I need to actually think about this for a second. There is undeniable power in numbers. You must be organizing. But yeah, how many? Because we had, with George Floyd, that sham trial, you had thousands outside of the courtroom. Obviously, that affected things. Obviously, that influenced things. Where are we for cases like this? We're not there. We don't have the organization. Build it. Join it. Do it. But it is good to see, a march being organized. It should have been done sooner, right? It should have happened before the trial, but it's better than nothing. Again, Jake is out there by himself, which props to him. But you can look at that and you can see, like, there's just a totally different degree of seriousness between one individual doing this, looking kind of goofy because he's out there all alone yelling, to a camera, versus a group doing the same thing. And so there was a group outside of the courthouse, but it wasn't in the thousands. It wasn't violent like the George Floyd group, right? How many would have been needed, though? How many would have been needed? How many calls and emails sent to the judges and the lawyers like the left do? How much intimidation and pressure would have changed this, Obviously more than we've mustered here, right? Because she was found guilty. But I keep trying to explain it, but it's silly to explain it because it doesn't need explained that obviously a unified group is far more effective than an individual. I do think it is absolutely hilarious, though. This is just like objectively funny. Nova independently orchestrated this protest in support of Shiloh Hendricks. Nova is not and will never be affiliated with Jake Lang. This provocateur has platformed our demonstration, but we formally disavow him. It's like the people who hate him all agree with everything he's doing. This is a hilarious post. This is a fucking hilarious post. Yeah, no, I get it, Crackerjacked. Again, whatever, have your feelings about Jake. I don't even really care. But if you don't see the hilarity in this, where it's like, yeah, we're doing the exact same thing as him. Obviously, we support his actions, but we have to disavow him. We must disavow him. That's fucking funny. And it's a bit fucking crazy. I hate him all you want, but like, whatever. That energy of just there is this general energy of anyone who organizes a Fed, anyone who does anything as a Jew, yada yada yada. You are being psyoped if you're buying into that. Pittsburgh Nordic, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm looking for allies. Straight up, see, my DMs on Twitter are open. I am the Goob. I think it's _5737. I don't know, but if you look the Goob on Twitter and you find the Calvin and Hobbes, the Hobbes profile picture, that's me. Hit me up. My DMs are open. Let's see what you're saying. I think we will always be a smaller organized group. Unfortunately, the masses are retarded and will organize over stupid shit, but what we organize for is important. We may have to think quality over quantity. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, you don't need a majority. And yes, we will always be the minority. There are so many invaders in this country already, where there's caravan, right? We've got Trump right now. We've got Trump, the based dictator who's going to get rid of all the invaders, right? Of course, that's not happening. No, he's giving more protections to these invaders. He's extending the what's the word I'm looking for? The immunity or whatever. That's not the word, but he's extending amnesty, right? All of these people who are here illegally, he's allowing them to stay instead of kicking them out. And so because of that, because people who want to come here see that and they go, oh, if I get into the country, I get to stay, I get amnesty, I get a path to citizenship. I just have to get over the border and they'll make me legal. And so you have caravans. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. It hasn't been a huge news story, but just like under Biden and Obama, there are literally caravans of tens of thousands of people trying to cross our border right now. This only moves in one direction, right? We only become more and more and more of a minority. Between the woke whites and the literal invaders, we are currently a minority, which is why it's very important to understand. Waiting for the masses to be on your side, you will be waiting forever. You take action now. You unite and organize now. You find your allies, and then you go out into the world and you impose your will now, which will bring more people to your side. The most effective way to get more people active, get more people organizing, and taking action in the real world is to lead by example and show people, right? But this whole all of these mental traps that people fall into of, just wait for the Civil War to start. No, that's not how that works. In like a civil war, a revolution doesn't happen in a day. We don't have currently the organization and the numbers to even do that. So if the Civil War were to start today, which we are in a civil war, we have been for a very long time. It's just been one-sided while we refuse to fight back, right? But if it were to like kick off in the way that people imagine it today or tomorrow, we lose because we don't have the organization. We don't have the numbers. You want the numbers. You want to create a situation in which we would win that theoretical, conflict. Go organize and go get active in the real world. You want a situation where we can have a political candidate, right? Like people are talking about J.D. Vance. I have no great hope for J.D. Vance or any other politician that we currently have. If you want a politician to rise up who will actually deal with these problems, that is not possible if you continue to just sit around and wait. The only way, or to continue posting angrily and impotently online. The only way we move the country in a direction where that could ever be a possibility is by organizing and getting active in the real world. There is no political solution in the near future, though. I think that is very important for people to understand. Our entire, there's much that can be done on a local level politically, and I strongly encourage people to do what you can on that local level. But as far as like our federal government, no one is coming to save you. Period. End of story. There's not a current politician, and even if there was a politician or a handful, whatever, like the system is so entrenched, the system is so anti-white that like no one, you could have literal Hitler elected to president tomorrow and he wouldn't be able to do shit because the entire system is so entrenched against it. So there is not, on top of that, like I said, we are the minority. So in a democracy, like, you're not going to get that vote. That's before any of the cheating or other shenanigans, right? So like, again, waiting for a political solution, it's just not going to come. You will wait until the white race is extinct. Regardless of what you think the solution that you should be pursuing is, the answer to getting results from whatever your solution is by organizing, is by uniting, is by getting a group of men together. Okay, word stuff. Whatever. But yeah, Pittsburgh Nordic, seriously, hit me up. I'm in Pennsylvania. We're not, if you're in Pittsburgh, we're not too close. I'm on the other side of the state, but still, let's chat. Let's help each other, find more allies, whatever. That's what the show's going to be next week. So, let's see what else I got here. The Proud Boys 10-year anniversary weekend is over. Again, Patriot Front, I think, is currently the best group we've got, but it is not the only group. There's hundreds and hundreds of these groups. Nova, Proud Boys, Patriot Front, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these groups also have like local chapters. So find your group or create your group. But there is no excuse for anyone right now, if you do not have that group of men, to not actively be seeking it. That should be your number one priority. Get off the fucking internet. If you guys, if I turn in my show next week and I have 0 viewers, I'd actually be really fucking happy about that. Like, if you guys actually disconnected from the internet, you just stopped engaging online and you started living in the real world, the only reason you should be online is to try and find allies. We are living in the age of social media, the age of connection, the age where anyone in the world can reach out to anyone else. And we are more isolated than we've ever been. Stop participating and consuming the toxic goyslop online. And if you're going to be online at all, use it to find allies. We have the greatest system ever created in order to find allies, and we aren't using it. So if you do need to be online, use it productively, find your allies. But I recommend getting offline as much as possible. I know, many of you probably work at a job where that's not an option to fully just remove screens from your life, but I would encourage you to do so as much as possible. Get back in touch with your feelings and your emotions. Stop numbing yourself. Stop feeding yourself with an endless stream of tragedies that are so tragic that your only option is to be numb to it all. Get into the real world. Get your allies. Join a group. Meet new neighbor. He used changing consumer habits in a sentence, then looked at me nervously, smiled, and responded with, "Those scholars. Going shooting next weekend now." This guy's taken my advice. I mean, he's never heard of me, so not my advice, right? But he's taken my advice. He's finding his allies. This is something that any and all of you can and should be doing. And even if you have allies, go search for more. And if you have enough, then go be taking action in the real world. I know it's a big country, right? And so you might not live in the same state as Shiloh. Might not be reasonable for you to send a group of 25 men, across the country to go protest that. But you could do a protest for it in your own town, or you can, I'm sure there's something in your town that is worth protesting against, whether it be flock cameras or whatever else it might be. And, I'm using the word protest, but I'm using that very generally. Again, many solutions. And hey, maybe you live in a great town. Maybe you genuinely live in Paradise, America, where you have no problems. Great. Make sure they don't come there. Put up flyers. Get entrenched into the sheriff's office. Get entrenched into local politics. Make sure none of that shit ever comes to you. But organize and get active in the real world. Find your allies. Look at this. Look at the difference between this and Jake Lang. Jake Lang being a lone loon, yelling, into the streets by himself. Look at this, though. You've got a group of men. It's a small group, but you've got a group of strong men delivering a strong message. Those tanned pseudo-engineers, if they see this, they might think twice about coming to Poland. This is effective. This is the only thing that is effective, right? My show is called PolitiGoob. I was just talking about politics a little bit, but I don't talk about politics here. Why? Because, like I said, that system, that anti-white sentiment, it is so entrenched on that federal level. There's nothing to be done about that. At least not without having organized men like this. A lot more than this, though. I don't even waste my time on it because, we're at war with Iran. What am I going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? The honest answer is nothing. You're not going to be able to affect anything there. But if you want to, you build towards it by things like this. Things like this, you start locally. You start with your allies. Is this making sense? Again, this stuff is, it's very common sense to me. And so I don't know where other people are getting lost along the way, because obviously a lot of people don't understand these things. And I don't understand why. So I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm explaining it in a way that you get it. I'm not a spellcaster. I'm a thinker. I understand very well. I don't necessarily translate that well. But like, regardless of whatever you think the solution is, it starts here. It starts with this. This delivers a message. This is effective. And you go bigger from there, right? You end up with a group like Patriot Front that is growing larger and larger and larger. Now you have, the ability to organize a group of men in any city across the country. Now you're taken seriously. Now you are actually affecting change. Now you have judges and jurors like in Shiloh Hendricks who have to think, oh, are the threats from the left? Like, I'm going to adjust my actions because of all of the threats from the left? Or now that there's a group of organized white men who are expressing their opinions like those Polish men, maybe I need to consider the right wing as well. Hope I'm making sense here. I should be making sense. This is basic stuff. Again, I'm going to use like Flock as a little quick case study. What happens if you show up to your town council and you put forward valid arguments? You've identified that the flock cameras are installed illegally. They don't have slip plates, so they violate safety standards. You do FOIA requests and expose that, hey, there's been thousands of accesses from third parties like credit agencies and banks, etc. You do all this stuff, and like, what is the outcome? Are you going to stop those flock cameras? No. This is what will happen. They'll kick you out. They'll have the cops arrest you. They'll shut you down. They will just ignore you. It becomes much more difficult to do that if 25 of you are showing up. And even then, they might still just shut down the meeting, have the cops escort you out or arrest you, etc. What then if you're going out into the night and you're cutting down these cameras? What's going to happen? Are they going to stop installing the cameras in your town? No, they're just going to order more from Flock. They will replace them, right? What happens if you decide to threaten and intimidate your local politician who is pushing these Flock cameras on you? Is he going to be intimidated and change his tone and his actions? Or are they going to investigate and try and have you arrested? And, the point I'm making here is twofold. One is that none of these things are effective if you're doing them as an individual. You need a group behind you. The other one is that individually, none of these things are effective, right? It's very easy to just ignore them. You have to be attacking from every possible angle, which is why it's so silly, for all of the infighting on the right. Like, if you don't agree with my exact prescription for how this needs to be dealt with, then you're my fucking enemy, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, allow parallel avenues, allow different approaches. We need parallel avenues and different approaches, but most importantly, you need organization. You need men. You need the weight of many bodies behind you so that you are not so easily ignored and dismissed. Oh, look, this is the guy who, got Shiloh Hendricks convicted. One of them, there's also the judge and other people involved. But if the reverse had happened, if Shiloh had been found innocent, the judge, the jury, etc., there would be doxing campaigns, there would be intimidation campaigns, there would be mass threat campaigns against these people from the left. Is that happening from the right? These cases, the people involved in them have to ask themselves, like, what consequences do I face if I swing left on this? What consequences do I face if I swing right on this? You might not like that the left does these things. You might not think that that's a tasteful approach It may be gross to you to think about doing that yourself, but it's very simple math here. As long as there is motivation, serious motivation to swing left because there might be personal consequences for you if you don't, and there's absolutely no consequences for swinging right, these people will keep swinging left. It will keep moving in one direction only, and that is the direction of the extinction of the white race. It might not be tasteful for you, but face reality. And again, that's not the only avenue. There's a million different avenues you can take, but you need to be taking them. You need to be exerting pressure. There needs to be consequences for people who do the wrong thing. There needs to be rewards for people who do the right thing. And again, all of that is easier if you are organized. All of that is easier if you have the weight of many men behind you. Deportations get harder the less American the United States become. You have more and more people who view aggressive border enforcement, assimilation policies, and deportations as directed against them because they are. So it can't be. So if it can't be pushed through now, probably never. Again, this is a very simple fact, but just understand it. Just understand it. Under Trump right now, our base dictator Trump, we have caravans of tens of thousands of invaders trying to cross our border now. We have amnesty for tens of thousands of invaders being handed out like candy now. It's not going to get better from here. You're not going to get someone who's... It only gets worse from here. Again, until you organize, until you wake up and start confronting the challenges the world has put before you. Become the hero that you want to see. Become the hero that you longed for as a child. I don't think that's a unique experience to me. I think that's a pretty universal experience for young boys. They read these stories of these heroes. They want to be them. They're so desperate. I spent so much time lamenting the fact that I lived in a peaceful age where there were no great tests for me to overcome, where there were no opportunities to prove my bravery and my heroism. We live in that world now. We're fully in that world now. This is the greatest opportunity anyone could ever ask for in that regard. Get off the internet, stop numbing yourself, find your allies, and become the hero. Impose your will. Create the world that you want. If you're not willing to do it, why would others? But if you are willing to do it, and you can find some allies to do it alongside you, you can show all of these other people who are waiting. I'm so desperate to do something, but I'm just waiting for everyone else to do it. Go do it. Go show them. Give them the bravery to join you by leading by example. The story is actually insane. The police picked up a 16-year-old girl that was kidnapped by Omar, the guy Shiloh Hendricks insulted, and his brother at a gas station. They raped her for 2 days. She was found sleep-deprived, dehydrated, and had not eaten recently. According to the nurse that examined her, they found her glasses in the trailer. She identified them perfectly in a lineup. Then, in the middle of the case, prosecutors discreetly dropped charges with no explanation and no oversight in the interest of justice, they said. This was just 1 month before the Shiloh Hendricks incident. During the Shiloh Hendricks trial, we found out that Omar's son, who is actually 9, even though it was claimed he was 5, already wears an ankle monitor because his father lets him wander off and steal things. As is expected, the father has faced no consequences for this. In Minnesota, a single word is worse than kidnapping and raping a young girl. 2 Somalian men abducted a young, vulnerable girl, then were shielded by the government and faced 0 consequences. Personally, I think the charges were dropped to avoid their deportation. On the flip side, a productive member of society gets probation, a jail sentence, and 200 hours of community service over a single word with no violence involved in any way. Just to re-emphasize, the guy that called the cops and recorded, the guy who was a pedophile, a rapist, and an invader, who was filming children at the park by himself, He is the same guy that raped a girl with his buddy for 2 days and was given no consequences in the interest of justice. All the charges were dropped. It wasn't like a vague case. They had all of the evidence. They knew that he did it. No charges. Same guy that recorded Shiloh Hendrickson called the cops and now has had her charged and convicted for calling him a nigger because he was a pedophile recording children in a park. Again, this is the type of story where the only sane reaction is to execute everyone involved as brutally as possible. But there's so many stories like this. Are you shocked by this story? Were you shocked that Shiloh was convicted? I was not. Because this is now normal, right? We have rape gangs here in America. Just it's not talked about, and it's not quite national yet, but there's plenty of areas like in Minnesota where there are rape gangs operating, just like in England, where you can rape and kidnap a young girl with your buddies for days or months or whatever, have all of the evidence, and literally nothing happens. You are protected by our legal system. If one of these cases happened, if we lived in a sane world, there would be, these guys would be fucking dismembered and dead immediately. But we have so many stories like this, and we have so many examples of this happening and then nothing occurring. It's incredibly demoralizing. It's incredibly, again, to actually face reality without numbing yourself, to actually engage with this on a serious level, it is so unbelievably heartbreaking. It is so horrific. You can't possibly operate that way. So we have all numbed ourselves. We have all gone insane because we live in this insane world. It's time to reconnect with reality. It's time to bring back sanity. And the way to do that, get the fuck offline, find your allies, and get into the real world. You know, again, what I was talking about Flock, right? It's like Democrat mayor and vice mayor of Sacramento, California were caught on a hot mic during a city meeting discussing how to ban people for disruptive speech. We should go over this disruptions thing because if we want to ban somebody in the future, like to actually take them out, we have to point out specifically, blah, 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 blah. The city attorney said we can't do that. Yeah, that's, a pretty blatant First Amendment violation. But they don't care about that. And again, as long as you are an individual going, they're going to keep abusing their power. They're going to keep silencing you and just ignoring you and not caring. Organize, make it more difficult for them. And then don't just go to the town council, right? If you get your group together and they have the cops escort you out and they shut down the meeting and they don't allow you to speak, seek recompense through other means. You have the group now, right? So go do it, right? And so again, just emphasizing that, like, you can't just go, oh, I went to the town council and it didn't work, time to give up. Or, I cut down a flock camera and then they just put it back up, so, there's nothing I can do. Individually, those actions won't result in anything. You have to be attacking it from all angles, and you have to be attacking it with groups of people. Again, the bureaucracy, the numbing, I talked about this years ago before I ever talked about politics. I talked about how our entire world, our entire civilization for the last 100 years has been very deliberately engineered to eliminate, not only to eliminate and remove heroes, but to completely eliminate any possibility of a hero even arising. And it's stuff like this. So the IRS gave this guy $20,000 by mistake. He gave the $20,000 back, But then they go, well, you had $20,000 of ours, so now you owe us interest on this. You owe us more than the money we gave you because of our mistake. And so he refused to pay it, and he's been trying to go through the bureaucracy for 4 years now. And now the IRS is threatening to foreclose on his house, steal his home, right? This is, again, someone comes up to you on the street and they go, give me your money and give me your house. You defend yourself against that. You kill that person. Very obviously so, right? But when the bureaucracy does it, what do you even do? You go, what's fucking Unabomber? I was trying to say the guy's name, but I'm blanking on his name. But yeah, you blow up the whole IRS. Like, what do you even do? There's nothing for you to do. They steal your life's work. They steal your job. They steal your home. They steal half of your income. And what are you to do about it? You have to call and spend hours on a phone trying to fucking negotiate with robots and retards. The destruction of modern architecture, the destruction of modern art, every single thing. If you can't understand the connection between building regulations and why our world doesn't have any heroes anymore, every single little thing has been deliberately engineered to eliminate even the possibility of a hero arising, to numb us all, to keep us all distracted with the goy slop, fat with the goy slop, demoralized, unable to actually perform any type of justice in this world. You become numb to all of the injustices because, again, there's no way to operate in this world, this insane, insane world, without being numb to it all. Just another gang rape. I don't even know what the overall point was here. You should understand how bad things are. You should understand that this only gets worse as long as people continue to be inactive and unorganized. And with the gang rape inquiry in England, the rapists weren't afraid of the police. The rapists weren't afraid of the government. Obviously, those groups had their back. Obviously, those groups were actively participating in these activities and defending these activities. The only thing they did fear were groups of white men, were white organizations. That is the only thing that they feared. Why and again, there's this idea that so many people on the right have where, like, if you organize, if you try and find an ally, your life is over. You'll be imprisoned, you'll be, assassinated, you'll be whatever. Like, there is this very genuine fear, and it's a mostly unrealistic fear. There may be some reason, but like, the right has been so fucking psyoped into thinking that, like, you can't organize, into convincing white men that they can organize. So much effort has been put in to destroy any potential white organization, like the destruction of rock music. You go look at concerts from 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Tens of thousands of young white people all gathered together, all full of energy. That terrifies them. So they've done everything they can to destroy that and eliminate that and make sure it never happens again. That is why that must be precisely what you must be doing. Organizing. And it's when organizing, right? Are you guys part of like any sports teams? Maybe you play baseball or something or whatever. Like you do have a group of men, quite quite possibly you already have a group of men that you can literally call up and get them to all show up, but it's for like a game, you know, or whatever it might be, a poker night or whatever, right? That's honestly a good first step. Now start talking to those men, getting them on board with these ideas, getting them to understand what it is that we face and what must be done in order to stop it. If you have a group of men that you can organize for any cause, you're already, you know, in a good position to get yourself a group of men that can organize for a cause that is desperately needed. So you don't necessarily have to go out and be like, excuse me, sir, would you like to be a Nazi with me? You know, it's like, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? I hope you know what I'm saying. Rape gangs in America. You know, Utah is passing a law to hide mugshots just as they start importing millions of Muslims. Convenient. Oh, I think my point here was, right, like, if you look at the experts and the numbers, crime is down in London. Violent crime is down. Well, this is why. So, in Gateshead, a young girl is blindfolded and dragged into an address by a grooming gang. She tries to escape, but they drag her back. Northumbria police turn up 2 hours later. They don't put the men in cuffs and just allow one of them to come back up to her outside the address. Northumbria police were even offered this video as evidence, but never came back to collect it. They commonly neglect evidence and claim there isn't enough evidence to make any arrests. So yes, violent crime is down, because they just ignore it. Same in America. There are rape gangs in America. You don't hear about them. Deflock.org is a great website. Yeah. Another thing, you know, the women problem. How do we deal with the white liberal women? I've answered this before. I'll answer it again. It's very, very simple. You brutalize them. You dominate them. You show them. Where's the you do this, right? This bitch hears the call to prayer over a loudspeaker, and she starts fucking crying and being like, is this my sign to convert? Do you understand how desperate women are to follow? And they're all fucking retarded, and they're like, look, oh, I heard the call, that's my sign to convert to Islam. That's why you need this shit. You want to fix the white women problem. You want to get them on board and rapidly calling for the elimination of every single foreign invader. This. I'm pointing at my other screen. You can't, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But whatever. This. That's how. It's very simple. It's very simple. Do you see how fucking desperate these women are to be led to find, like... But right-wingers remain passive. And so you end up with this, women converting to Islam instead of being based, you know, white first trad wives. Again, just the bureaucracy. You literally closed my account without reason and have kept nearly $12,000 you have not returned. If someone walked up to you on the street and stole $12,000 from them, you shoot them in the fucking face. It's not even like a question or a debate. You shoot them in the fucking face. You kill them. It's that simple. But when a company does it, what do you do? What recourse do you even have? The destruction of heroes. And we see this. We all know shit like this is happening. Most of you have probably had shit like this happen to you. Maybe not $12,000, right? But like these little injustices that you just have no recourse for. What do you even do against that? It is all deliberate. It's all by design. And it's not just this. Again, the destruction of architecture. It is literally every facet of our society for the last 100 years has been deliberately created. And the most powerful of all of these demoralization techniques is the internet. You must disconnect from the internet. You must get into the real world. Can you get 25 guys to participate in an event next weekend? That is the question. That is the only way we ever start to see any solutions to any of these problems, is organizing. This guy seems like a good person to follow. Diomedes Appreciator. I'm also a fan and a promoter of Homath, who is finally back after being banned for 3 or 4 months. Homath doesn't necessarily seem to get the organization aspect. He's a really smart guy. He's a better spellcaster than I am. And he does understand a lot of things very well. He seems to be lagging behind on like this. He's like revolution, civil war. He's like go start the civil war today. Like that's not how it works, brother. You got to start with the organization. It starts with organizing before any of that other shit. But he does understand a lot. If you do need to be online and you do need to be following people, that's a good person to follow. Diomedes Appreciator and Homath. If there are flock cameras without registration or a way to pinpoint its location, then that's a problem. There are a plethora of these cameras on the main avenue, but not on the D-flock maps. Hey, I would assume they have like a contact page. I know they've got a Twitter, so reach out to them, contact them, get involved. You've identified a problem. Now do something about it, right? And that's a problem that's extremely actionable. You don't have to go out and commit mass murder or risk your life or your livelihood. Contact Flock or dflock.org. Learn more about this. Try and help them update their information. Pursue that. Again, just the mental illness that we are all living in. To even get to a point in the world where this... I don't think I'm going to subject you to the audio. I can't do that to you. But this guy is running in Maine for a Senate Dem seat. I don't even want to read the quote, but I will read the quote from here. I also leak like a mucus, which they can't really explain, and they've talked about how they get periods even though they're a troon, but the blood comes from their asshole instead. Like this is a deeply, deeply, deeply mentally unwell person, and like so much so that you can see it at just a glance, right? When you're driving around your city and you see a homeless guy standing on the corner who is screaming at the demons around him, wearing his underwear on the outside of his pants, you don't have to like go interact with that guy to be like, oh, they're fucking insane, right? They are visibly mentally ill, just like this person. And yet we have people that are not only defending this person, but like advocating for this person and going, yes, let's elect that. Let's make them our leader. They should be our politician making decisions on behalf of us all. It is hard to quantify the level of mental illness here, and not just on display, but like the impact that has on society, that we have allowed things to get this bad. Talked about walking into your doctor's office and, Dr. Cuts-Off Dick is standing there in front of you. Like, these are real realities that we have now. And a sane response to them would be insane, right? Like killing people is a kind of insane thing to do. That's not even the word I want to... It's an extreme thing to do. The sane response would be an extreme response. A very extreme response. But we have so many examples like this. They build it up gradually. You got to accept gay marriage. You got to blah, 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 blah. And now we're here. Because we kept suppressing, because we look around and we see everyone else seeming to go along with it. The trans issue was never a majority issue. Going back earlier, right, someone was talking about how getting the majority on our side would be difficult or whatever. The tranny issue was never a majority issue. It was always an extreme minority. Yet, this is the state of our country today, where this is a serious political candidate. Where you walk into your doctor's office and come face to face with Dr. Cuts-Off Dick. How has that become, how have we gotten to this state if those are all minority issues, extreme minority issues? It's because the Troons were willing to organize and radicalize, because they went out into the real world and they shouted louder and they punched more. And the right, no one wants to get in a fight with a tranny. So, like, they don't even defend themselves. They get punched in the face and they go, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I used the wrong pronouns. And everyone looks around and they see that, and it's hard to quantify just how demoralizing that is. It is time to break the cycle. It is time to organize. It is time to get active. You are the hero you are waiting for. Stop waiting for the hero. Become the hero. Remember your childhood. Remember all of those days longing for the hero's journey, longing for these tests to be foisted upon you and be put in front of you so that you could overcome them. Remember how you felt as a child. Return to reality. Stop numbing yourself. Become the hero. Create the world you want to see. Impose your will first upon yourself and then upon the world around you. This is just rewording what I've been saying. The more I watch what's happening, the more it feels like we're living through a psychological experiment to see how much people will tolerate before they finally snap. Every day it's another scandal, another distraction, another double standard, and we're all just expected to keep working, paying bills, and acting like this is normal. This doesn't even feel real anymore. Right. That's exactly what's going on. And you have failed every shit test. It's why you have this. Because we keep failing every single shit test. Where'd that tab go? But because every day is another scandal, another distraction, another double standard, and because we do still have a very well-functioning society in certain aspects, right? You go to work every day. It's consistent. You come home. You have goy slop on your TV to watch and numb yourself to every day. It's consistent. The bread and the circus are still going on. The bread and the circus don't run out. While everything else around you is becoming irrevocably fucked. You still get to go to work every day, drive your little car, and come home and try and tune out all the insanity. That only continues in that direction. That only gets worse once we do snap. We should have snapped decades ago. And there is one other point that I've been meaning to make this entire time, that I've made several other times, is that there is no magical moment. There is no line that when it's crossed, people wake up in unison and get active. That's just not how it works. Every possible line that could be crossed has been crossed. We left every line in the dust miles ago. You can't even see the lines anymore. There is no magical moment. There is no line where everyone just goes, we've had enough. It starts by people simply saying, we've had enough, and then others join in. And again, this becomes infinitely more effective when you do it as a group. The bigger the group and the more groups there are, the more effective it becomes. And the larger those groups grow, the more people join in. How did we get to where we are in the world today with the Troons when at most 10% of people actually supported it? How do we, as a minority now, get to a point where we are dominating the political spectrum, where we are dominating our culture and our society? There's your answer. This is how. It's very simple. It's actually very, very simple. You just have to do it. And there are so many men, so many disaffected young white men who are so eager to see this and to join in. There are so many men waiting. And so I am speaking to you now, the people that get it, to help you realize if you want this to happen, you have to stop waiting. You have to make it happen. And when you start making it happen, others will join you. And the more that join you, you don't have to have the majority. You only have to have the people that get it. And you have to get them active and organized. New Hampshire just killed a bill letting ranchers sell a few animals a month to neighbors. Why? Blah, blah, blah. The same 1967 law built the Big Four's monopoly. If you don't understand like how this and everything else is deliberate in order to eliminate the possibility of heroes arising, I don't know if I'll be able to explain it to you, but literally every single aspect of our society is designed to eliminate heroes, to make us reliant and to keep us distracted with the bread and circuses and to keep us numb and inactive and unorganized and afraid to organize and afraid to get active. And they are scary things. I do understand those are scary things. They become infinitely less scary when you have friends by your side. Find your fucking allies. Organize, 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 organize. Seriously. There's no excuse for anyone to not be doing that. Apply to Patriot Front. Apply to Proud Boys. Apply to all of them. Create your own, whatever, but find your fucking allies. That is the only focus you should have right now. Find your allies. Because without them, you're not going to affect anything. Dude, it's a adult camp. It's not for children. But still, this is a guy going to we're all so fucking numb to it. The world is so fucking insane. And how this wasn't a majority issue. So how did we get here? How can we as a minority affect this change, right? I've explained this. I'm just trying to hammer in the point. Waiting for the majority to be on your side is waiting for your death. You don't wait for the majority. The majority of people are obese and fucking retarded. You shouldn't care about the majority of people. Impose your will upon the world. And the fact that we are letting troons impose their will upon us, faggots and soy boys and the weakest, whiniest people that are beyond comprehension and imagination impose their will upon us while we refuse to impose our will upon them. That's fucking insane. Stop being insane. Remember your childhood. Remember that longing for the hero's journey. Remember that longing for the tests for you to overcome, the opportunities for you to prove yourself. Get off the internet. Get back into reality. Get your allies. And go create the world you want. Whatever, I don't even care. These tabs might not even be just a quick history lesson. I think this is pretty interesting. People people don't understand history very well. Like, most people really have a horrible understanding of history, which, again, is a huge part of the demoralization and the elimination of heroes. Because if you understood history, one, you'd understand that these things that are happening now aren't new. This playbook has been run before, and it doesn't end well. You'd also, like, understand how heroes are made, how they operate. But if you have a connection to your past, and if you understand your past, you're much more difficult to control. And so this started as a history channel. I talked about archaeology. The efforts to erase history are truly insane. Many of the people watching my show now probably have no idea what NAGPRA is. So I've got many great videos, but you might check out my channel and look for the video that has the Native Americans with the yellow font on it. It'll be enlightening for you if you've never heard of NAGPRA. But yeah, there's a massive effort to destroy and erase and rewrite our history to keep us impotent. But sorry, I got off track there a little bit. But people think of like Ellis Island, and they think of immigrants in the past, and like they have this very incorrect idea that these white European people were coming to America and they were just assimilating. Like, that's just what happens. That's not what happens at all. We were extremely ruthless to these immigrants. We put the Japanese in fucking camps and stole all of their possessions. We were extremely racist against Italians and Irish and etc. You had companies like Ford had an Americanization program and offered a high wage of $5 a day, but workers had to undergo surprise inspections at their homes by Ford's sociological department. Inspectors would show up unannounced at workers' homes to ensure they were speaking English, eating American food, and maintaining middle-class American hygiene. If they continued to keep their old cultural habits, they were eventually fired. Some states even passed legislation that prohibited the teaching of foreign languages to young children, English only. 37 states further passed laws making English the official language of the state during this push for Americanization. Then immigration was severely restricted for around 40 years from 1924 to 1965 in an attempt to mitigate the damage done by mass immigration. Right? So this idea now that like we didn't force them to assimilate by pretty ruthless means in the past is completely mistaken. And these were white Europeans, people who were culturally far more similar, infinitely more similar than the fucking Somalis and Muslims were bringing over, than the third world retards. And yet now we can't even discuss encouraging assimilation. That's racism. That's evil. You're a monster. You're a Nazi. Everything is so beyond the pale. It's so insane. It's so fucked. And a big part of that is people not knowing their history. But yeah, assimilation wasn't just a thing that happened. It wasn't just a choice that the immigrants made. It was very aggressively forced upon them by the state, by individuals. And now the idea of doing that for people who it wouldn't be possible for them to assimilate anyways because they're retarded niggers who worship a rapist, a child rapist. But now the idea of even asking them to assimilate is horrific. It makes you a monster. It's fucking insane. All right, last point before I go. Might be a long point. I've mentioned previously that like you need to start thinking outside of the system. You need to start operating outside the system. And here's a little, maybe somewhat silly example, but hopefully I'll be able to make the point regardless of the weakness of the example here. Honestly, at 40, what's stopping me from taking out a $100,000 personal loan and maxing my credit cards to take a few dream trips and buy all the shit I want and then declaring bankruptcy? I probably won't be able to buy a house in the next 7 years anyway, so who really gives a shit about credit scores? The system, right? When I recommend, I've had this conversation in real life, I've had it online, and like when I start saying people need to operate outside of the system, and there's this immediate jump to like mass murder in the streets. Oh, why don't you go start the Civil War then? And it's like that's such a insane leap, right? By the system, I'm talking about the system, right? Like we are trapped. Someone last week commented that they work 6 days a week just to barely, survive. They're not alone. That is a very, very common experience now. Millions and millions of young white men are in that position, or even worse positions. And continuing to try and live like this is, the 1950s, where if I just go to work every day and I work hard, I can get ahead, I can succeed, I can build a good life for myself and my children. Like that doesn't exist anymore. And trying to operate like it does, trying to be a just, set in my routine. I'm still following the same routine I would be if this was like 1950. That's the system that you need to get out of. Doesn't mean go commit mass murder in the streets, because I said operate outside the system, right? Reckless Ben, I talked about the Lego situation a little bit. Like Reckless Ben is a good example of this. Reckless Ben isn't committing mass murder. He's not, he's not doing that shit. He's 100% operating outside of the system, though. I don't think anyone's looking at Reckless Ben and being like, what a good little drone he is. No, he's fully operating outside of the system, operating outside of this framework that America had been built on, but no longer works for young white men. Remaining in that framework is only going to lead you to a very slow, drawn out demise. So go watch some Reckless Ben. Go watch some Nathan For You. Get a little inspiration. Understand that you have AI now that can be a very useful tool to find creative solutions, legal loopholes, etc. Start getting creative. Take that time that you would be numbing yourself with Goislop or consuming horror porn online and start thinking, start meditating on how can I change what I am doing? How can I break out of this monotony, out of this trap? What can I start doing differently? And the first step, right? The most productive thing you can do, the thing that will help you more than anything else, because most of us are not creative geniuses. Most of us are not capable of doing what Reckless Ben does or Nathan For You does, Nathan Fielder, right? That takes a certain kind of person. But if you want to try and find ways to operate outside of the system, to break outside of this pattern and this trap, finding allies is the best way to do that. Finding allies and organizing and having people who can help support you and your actions and your creativity, building a network is the best way to do that. It gives you a hell of a lot more options and a lot more creativity when you have a network rather than trying to do this all on your own. So this is my final episode of PolitiGoob. I thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. I truly hope you do take my advice, and I'll be back next week, probably still under the title of PolitiGoob, but it will be a different show. I am no longer trying to convince. I have made every argument that I can make as best as I can make it. I've recommended people who I think maybe can make the argument better, such as, what was that guy's name? Diomedes Appreciator, Homath, Thomas Rousseau, Patriot Front, right? So I don't think I'm going to really accomplish anything by just continuing to repeat the same things that I've been repeating for 9 months now. And so I'm going to shift to trying to encourage people to actually organize, trying to help people figure out what actions they can take. This is going to be a call-in show. Call in, express your fears. Let me help you with them. Express your struggles. Go, I want to do something, I don't know what to do. Call in. Let's figure it out together. Go, I want to join an organization, I don't know which one to join. Call in. Let's figure it out together. If you have done those things and you want to inspire others and you want to share what you have done and the changes that you've affected, or how joining an organization has helped you, call in, share your experiences. Again, don't dox yourself. Don't incriminate yourself. Only share what you're comfortable sharing. But that's what the show is going to be moving forward. If you don't understand the threats we face, if you don't understand that you must become the hero that you always dreamt of being as a child, if you don't start confronting the world and thanking it for giving you these opportunities to prove yourself and become a hero, I'm not going to convince you by just continuing to drone on about these things. If you don't understand them, if you're not convinced, if you are not motivated to take action and to organize now, I don't think I'm going to be able to change that. So I'm interested in talking to the people who do get it and who maybe need a little bit of help, who maybe need someone to guide them a little bit. And I might not be the best person for that either, but hey, I'm going to try. So thank you, and I will catch you next week. I'm not sure how the call-in thing is going to work because I used to use StreamYard, which was very effective, but I can't do dual streaming with that, at least not without paying for it, which maybe I'll do. But I think it might be slightly ghetto where I have like Zoom or something on my phone, and you call in through that, and you guys will just have to deal with that. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But I will catch you guys next week. Peace out. I meant to get this end clip. I think I did get this. All right. Peace out, fellas. I'll catch you next week.
We are historical men. We are the men that we read about. And we are the men that our grandchildren will read about when they look up to their forefathers. We are surrounded by people who will never be remembered by their own children. But their grandchildren will look up to us. Because we are the ones forging a nation. We are the ones doing this and making our dreams a reality. And I engage in conversation with so many people who simply do not understand what they're missing. They will die and be forgotten. No one will ever forget what you are doing. No one will ever forget that your family, and not your children and their children and their children. What we are doing is immortal. Let these words enter you truly. And if you ever think that you have given enough, perhaps you will gaze sideways and you will see someone who has given everything. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. There is always more you can give, and what you put in is what you get out of this organization.